Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a fascinating visual forensics exercise. Have you ever looked closely, and I mean really closely, at a surface, and suddenly realized it's telling you a whole story you completely missed at first glance? Well, today, we're going to decode a hidden, seemingly abstract environment using nothing but extreme close-up photographs. We're basically acting as visual detectives, piecing together the true nature of a space just by analyzing textures, light, and hidden elements. What starts out looking like a simple pile of rocks and dust is going to transform into something entirely unexpected.
Okay, let's dive into this. Seriously, think about it. How much information can we really extract from an isolated, totally context-free surface? When we strip away the wide-angle view, we're forced to rely on pure observation. Let's look at the evidence.
So right off the bat, this surface is incredibly abstract. It almost looks like some barren alien planet, right? Notice the stark, dramatic contrast going on here. Right in the middle, we've got this bright, washed-out, almost blinding circular area. But then, as your eyes move out toward the edges, the environment just gets super dark and coarse. The material looks parched, fragile, and just deeply weathered.
Before we try to solve the whole mystery, we need to gather our initial visual observations to catalog exactly what we're looking at. Basically, we've got a highly porous, almost sponge-like uneven texture. We can clearly see a dual-tone coloring. There's this chalky gray sitting on top of a deeper reddish-brown. We're also seeing deep, jagged horizontal stress fractures cutting right through the middle, which definitely points to some vulnerability. And finally, variable light reflection. Some spots just eat the light completely, while others bounce it right back. These are our baseline elements to track as we zoom out.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that by comparing these two slightly different angles, we can actually answer one of our first big questions. Look closely at those reddish-brown patches scattered in the gray. In visual forensics, you always got to ask yourself, is that just a trick of the lighting, maybe a weird shadow, or is it the actual color of the material? Well, looking at these side-by-side shots where the light source is shifted down to the bottom left, we can definitively confirm that the red coloring is intrinsic to the surface itself. It's not painted on, it's literally underneath.
Mapping the organic crust reveals a story of erosion and varying material density. What we're witnessing here is essentially a map of an organic crust. Check out the juxtaposition. You've got this flaky, lighter gray material that looks super brittle, sitting right on top of those denser, darker red patches. This tells us a story of natural wear and material separation. That outer gray layer is slowly deteriorating, just flaking off over time from environmental stress, and it's exposing that much sturdier, iron-like red core right beneath it.
But then, we really have to talk about the lighting. Direct your eyes right up to the top of the frame. We're getting this intense, glowing, perfectly spherical orb of light. It is so dramatic. Notice how the sheer intensity of this light entirely washes out the color of the crust immediately beneath it. It turns that dual-tone red and gray into a totally flat, blinding white. It's creating this highly localized, super intense focal point on what is otherwise a pretty dark and dingy surface.
Which brings up a really critical question for our investigation. Is this a camera artifact or an environmental light source? I want you to analyze that light's perfect geometry against the organic, chaotic rock. Like, is this just a harsh flashlight beam bouncing off a damp spot? Or is this an integrated artificial light physically installed in the space? I mean, unless a very clumsy photographer dropped a perfectly spherical flashlight right on the wall, the sheer perfection of that circle strongly hints at something mechanical and focused. Now, as we pull back just a bit to get a wider view, we really need to shift our focus to the structural integrity here. Trace your eyes right along that deep, jagged fissure running horizontally across the upper left. You can actually see smaller hairline fractures webbing out from the main crack. Honestly, the entire surface appears to be under extreme stress. It's crumbling. Whatever this surface is, it's definitely not pristine. It is actively deteriorating and pulling apart.
Up until now, we've kind of been talking about this surface like we're geologists, right? We've looked at rock, crust, erosion, fractures. We've built up this mental model of a natural, decaying cavern or stone wall. But a closer look reveals something decidedly unnatural.
Look down at the bottom right quadrant. That is not a root or some weird mineral deposit. And this brilliantly illustrates the undeniable presence of artificial, manufactured, copper-colored wiring. And right below it, literally emerging from the rock itself, is a metallic bracket holding things together. Suddenly, no way, we are definitely not looking at a pristine natural cave anymore. We're looking at human interference. We're looking at a hidden infrastructure site.
Looking from another angle confirms this beyond a shadow of a doubt.
On the right side, we aren't just seeing one stray wire, we see multiple thin cables deliberately bound together. And even more wild, we see a rigid, rusty metal pipe anchored directly into that crumbling gray and red crust. We're looking at industrial infrastructure actively interacting with and probably contributing to the natural decay of the wall around it. Notice how the rust on the metal bracket matches those reddish hues of the deteriorating rock? It completely blends the artificial and the natural together in this shared state of decay.
Just absorb the sheer visual contrast here. Over on the left, your eye is met with chaotic, organic, crumbling textures. The gray and red surface is totally unpredictable, full of random pits and pores and jagged cracks. But then, your eye catches the right side, and boom, there's a perfectly straight, engineered, manufactured line of a metal rod cutting diagonally right across the frame. It's like the ultimate collision, the unpredictable decay of nature fighting against the rigid geometry of human engineering.
So the crucial point is how this methodical breakdown completely shifted our understanding of the space. We started out looking at this abstract, blurry, glowing texture. But by simply paying attention, we categorized the natural elements, like the porous gray crust, the dense red underlayer, those deep, jagged fissures. And then we uncovered the hidden artificial elements, the braided copper wire, the smooth metal piping, and those anchoring brackets. We successfully forensically mapped a hidden human infrastructure operating right behind a decaying facade. It's like a giant puzzle coming together.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If an empty wall holds this much history, what secrets are hiding in the infrastructure around you every day? We spent this entire explainer analyzing what initially looked like just an unremarkable patch of crumbling rock, only to discover this complex interplay of erosion and industrial infrastructure. It absolutely challenges how we look at the world around us. So, I'm going to leave you with this. If a seemingly empty, decaying wall holds this much history, texture, and hidden engineering, what secrets are hiding in the infrastructure around you every single day? Next time you walk past a cracked foundation or a weathered wall in your city, take a second. Look closer. You might just find a mystery waiting to be decoded. Thanks for diving into this with me today, and keep observing.